Now we're going to be looking at multiplying decimal numbers the traditional method. So here I have my multiplication problem with decimals just lined up the normal way that you would see a multiplication problem. And I could go ahead and start multiplying, but what I'm going to do first is I'm going to keep note of how many spaces in are my decimal points from each original number in the problem. So here I could see that the decimal point is one space in on 7.7, and it's also one space in on 4.5. Now I'm going to keep track of the fact that all totaled up, added together, the decimal points are two spaces in when I combine both numbers. So I'll just make a mental note of that, and we're going to use that when we get to the end of the problem. So let's go ahead and solve this one out now. So when I do 7.7 times 4.5 and I run the multiplication, 5 times 7 and 5 times 7, I get 385, and then I drop my 0, 4 times 7 and 4 times 7, I get these numbers, and I combine them together to get 3465. Now here is where I'm going to use the two spaces combined that my decimal points are in from the right on my numbers in my original problem. So remember again, it's one space in on 7.7, one space in on 4.5 for a total of two spaces. Well, once I get my final number, now I know I use that 2 to tell me how many spaces to move my decimal point in on my answer. And so I get an answer of 34.65 because I had to move my decimal point 2 spaces in from the right. So we can see what happens when I change where the decimal point is in my problem. So here I have the same number, 25.3, and I'm multiplying it by the same number just with a different decimal point, or just with a different decimal point in a different place. So 25.3 times 10.6, it's going to give me some combination of these numbers. In fact, all of these problems are going to give me a combination of 26818. What I'm going to do is figure out where to put the decimal point based on how many spaces in the decimal point is on both numbers combined. So here, my decimal point is one space in there, and it's one space in there, for a total of 2 spaces. So from this number, I'm going to move the decimal point 2 spaces in, and I end up with an answer of 268.18. Now I'm going to do it for this one and see how it differs. So again, this one's one space in. Now this one is 3 spaces in for a total of 4 spaces. So if I start in the right, I need to move my decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces in, and I end up with the answer 2.6818. Now last one here. This one's still 1 space in. This one's now 2 spaces in, and I'm going to combine those, and that tells me to move this in 1, 2, 3 spaces, and I get the answer 26.818. So even though I'm using all the same numbers, I changed the answer by placing the decimal point in a different spot in the problem.